Okay, let's delve into this metaphysical epic of the thought of John Scottus Eriugena, as Deirdre Carabine, the author of this book, John Scottus Eriugena, likes to call it. And we are going to delve into the way down, meaning of how creation proceeds from the creator into the particular elements. And then in part 3, we are going to delve into the return, which will be at the end of this presentation in chapter number 7. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6 to go. And then number 7 will be the return, and that's how it will end. So mainly we're going to be talking about the Periphyseon. However, there are other thinkers that are going to be included in this whole process. Maximus the Confessor will be one of them. Gregory of Nyssa is very prominent. Also, Augustine is going to be also very prominent. And other works also of Eriugena which are very interesting, very important on predestination. The main work, of course, is the Periphyseon. But there was a controversy at the time with predestination. So there was a big debate going on as to what was the nature of history itself, if human destiny was completely predestined or there was place for free will. And Eriugena was in the camp of affirming free will. He thought that predestination was ultimately an absurd idea, and he did it because he was asked to do this because of his philosophical prowess. However, it did not work very well anyway. The controversy continued, and it continued for a long time, and it's always been a matter of contention. But let's delve into his work. The Periphyseon is very much grounded in Neoplatonic philosophically, although there is, of course, a very strong element of exegesis of the Bible. But it must be said that Eriugena, as a Neoplatonic thinker and influenced by the Eastern Fathers, is going to delve into these issues, taking the Bible more as an allegorical account of divinity and creation and revelation than a literal historical account. Surely he lies somewhere in the middle, but he goes more towards the allegorical interpretation, which is always a matter of contention in theology, how much of it is absolutely real to the letter on one extreme, and on the other hand, how much of it is just simply allegorical of deeper realities within creation and the human mind, and how to interpret the whole thing. So here we go. So it is Neoplatonic, as I said, it's composed of the procession and the return through the Word. The Word and what it is and what it means is going to be very prominent in his thought. And we're going to delve into every effects. Very important cause and effect is going to play a big role in this whole exposition. And and it's a round circle, okay? It's not from one point to the other. The metaphor of the circle, the image of the circle, actually, we're going to use it in many instances to picture what Eriugena might be meaning, but by what he is saying in the text. So every effect remains in its course, proceeds from it, and it returns to it. This is the whole idea. So Deirdre Carabine's framework is going to work through divisoria, diairetike in Greek. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. So divisoria happens through the word, and the link is always the word, and resolutiva, which is the resolution, the return, analytique. And the word also first principle of resolutiva. So we have a dialectic. Dialectic here will be justified. That there's a lot of talk about dialectic being a very negative way of going about things, because you get trapped into polar opposites that actually are not polar opposites, and the synthesis that comes from them brings you to a falsehood in terms of interpreting reality. A very clear example of that nowadays will be in politics, the left and the right. This is a fake dichotomy, it's a fake dialectic that takes you astray, and it makes you take sides from something that is actually within the same evil origin. So it's very important to distinguish that we are distinguishing here between very basic polar opposites, and it would be fair to say that he chooses the very extreme of it in terms of how reality will be structured, in the sense that he will choose between being and non-being, which will also be fair to say it's like between what the mind can access and comprehend, even if it cannot comprehend it, and everything else that the mind cannot access. I cannot even start to imagine what it is. That's the other realm of natura in the philosophy of the Periphyseon. This is controversial because non-being will stand as nothing that you can actually talk about, because it's non-existence itself. But Eriugena puts it in the context of what is it that the mind can access, comprehend, and talk about. Yeah. So we are going to be seeing that, just to give you a preface of what one of the main conclusions are, that we can say that in its essence, what in its essence, be it God or human nature or angels or nature itself, that it is, and that's our departure and also our final point, but we cannot know what it is. It is impossible for the mind to understand what it is. And the culmination of all that comes from the uncreated uncreating, which is actually at the source of everything. And this will be not in a privative sense, of course, because in a privative sense we have the fall, we have evil, we have ignorance, but in a superlative sense, the opposite of that will be God himself, uncreated and uncreating, which is where all the return of natura cycles into. Okay, so let us get to the next one. There we go. I'm slow with this thing again. All right, so the method will be, as I said, the dialectic as the mother of all arts. He makes a division. This is why unpredestination is an important word, because he makes the full methodological schematization of his way of thinking, which will be divided into division, definition, demonstration, and resolution. In the Periphyseon, he's going to only use division and resolution, as we have suggested before. It is applied, the method, these divisions are applied to the macrocosm of metaphysics. That is the entire history of God and the Word, no less. So in the dialectic, we're going to get the concept is going to be broken down. So there is a parallelism between what the human mind is and what the cosmos is. So for Eriugena, there is a one-to-one correlation between the two. There is none of this postmodern disintegration that cannot be reintegrated. The breakdown is only used in order to understand our position within the universe, but reassembles the whole thing and the ascent from the species to the genus. So the genus will be something like God himself, for example, and to the species will be the ramifications of that creator, that first mover, into species which transcend that first mover, that cannot be really transcended, but comes back to him in the ascent from the species into the genus. Very Neoplatonic conceptualization here. So on the epistemological level, so he works on two levels, the epistemological one and the ontological one as well. So the epistemological one will be the way the human mind operates, and the ontological, the way reality is structured. As you can see, the both are connected. Another branch of this that will be very important will be the realm of morality, which is going to be addressed later on the creation of man and the fall and what that all means. Yeah. So there is an interlocking. The mapping out of natura in the Periphyseon is based on the human mind's control of the unfolding of natura and its ultimate resolution in its source. So the scope of it is incredible. Yeah. So let's go here to number C. I have not opened it yet. There you go. So starting point. The boundaries of natura are limitations of the mind. So again, this identification from the one hand of the mind and the other natura. The two are intrinsically connected, and the division is going to be based on what is it that the mind can comprehend and what is it that it could never access, and yet it's real in a supernatural way. So the physis is the genus of natura in all its inclusiveness, things which are being and things which are not, non-being, things both within and outside the mind's grasp. This is what the division is based on. Quae sunt and quae non sunt will be the same, but in Latin. The mind serves as the determination of natura. Okay, so there couldn't be, this whole system would be false if there wouldn't be an actual real connection. So very much in terms of modern philosophy is assumed here, but I think it's important precisely because of that. Yeah, because all the dilemmas of contemporary life are actually based on these types of problems. And this is why it's so important that we go back and back before the modern era to see where we got it wrong. Not everything is wrong, of course. There is a lot of things which are absolutely wonderful about our civilization. However, we're facing extinction level types of problems created by the ignorance of man, the ignorance of the masses, and the ignorance of the elites. And our own ignorance, which is the first thing that we have to address. Of course, you can't go around giving advice to anybody while you haven't walked the talk. Okay, so that's what we're going to be trying to do here. The fall limits the mind. Yeah, so the limitation of the mind comes actually from the fall, and natura cannot be defined fully. Therefore, all these divisions. Actually, this whole thing is kind of artificial. However, it is the tools by which we are going to be able to discern reality in our place in it. Nice. Let's go to the next one. Well, actually, no, we're going to see the next chapter in the next video. See you there.